Welcome to AviatorDB News Briefing. Today is Monday, July 20th, 2026. First, breaking news headlines. Delta A321 suffers tail strike landing at LaGuardia Airport. In other news, NTSB preliminary report points to elevator failure in Houston MD-87 crash. FAA activates special procedures as OS-26 traffic backs up at Wittman. EAA schedules Cirrus mass arrival for AirVenture Oshkosh 2026. 50-mile backup at Fisk arrival disrupts EAA AirVenture 2026. Now for the details. New York, July 14th, 2026. A Delta Airlines Airbus A321 registration N382DN, sustained substantial damage after suffering a tail strike during landing at New York's LaGuardia Airport, LGA, on Tuesday. No injuries were reported among passengers or crew. The aircraft was operating as Delta Flight DAL-1181, arriving from Fort Lauderdale International Airport when the rear of the fuselage contacted runway 22 during touchdown, according to data from the Aviation Safety Network. Preliminary reports described the damage as scrapes and dents to the aircraft's underside. The aircraft was subsequently removed from service for a detailed structural integrity assessment. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, typically oversee investigations involving substantial aircraft damage. Official statements regarding the specific cause of the tail strike have not yet been released, and Delta Airlines has not issued a formal public statement regarding the incident. Authorities have not yet disclosed specific flight conditions, such as approach speed, pitch attitude, or wind factors, at the time of landing. Tail strikes can result from a high nose-up attitude on landing or flare, and typically require detailed inspection of the aircraft's tail section and structural frames before the plane can return to service. This is a developing story. Aviator News Network will update as additional information becomes available. Source: Aviation Safety Network. A preliminary report from the National Transportation Safety Board suggests a mechanical failure in the elevator system was the initiating factor in the crash of a McDonnell Douglas MD-87 business jet near Houston. The aircraft overran the runway during a high-speed rejected takeoff, destroying the airframe. Officials confirmed no fatalities among those on board. According to aviation outlet Taking Off, the NTSB has ruled out engine failure as the triggering cause. Investigators are instead focused on a structural problem with the elevator on the aircraft's distinctive high T-tail. The failure mode draws comparisons to a 2013 incident involving an Ameristar MD-83, in which a wind-jammed elevator prevented proper rotation during the takeoff roll, forcing the crew to abort, a scenario with striking parallels to the Houston event. The NTSB has not yet issued a final probable cause determination. The preliminary findings shift scrutiny away from pilot error or power loss and toward a potential systemic vulnerability in the elevator's control surface. Investigators continue to examine the mechanics of the T-tail configuration and the circumstances under which the elevator became restricted during the takeoff roll. Heavy inbound traffic to EAA AirVenture Oshkosh 2026 is backing up along the famed Fisk arrival corridor, as Wittman Regional Airport, Kosh, activates special FAA procedures and temporary runway taxiway configurations to manage the surge. The congestion, documented in recent operational footage from aviation commentator Juan Brown of the Blanco Lirio channel, underscores the intense pressure on air traffic control during the world's largest aviation gathering. Under the FAA's 2026 Oshkosh flight procedures, VFR arrivals must use the Fisk arrival, entering at ATC assigned transition points and sequencing via Ripon and the railroad tracks before reaching the field. To maintain safety during peak volume, controllers are employing metering techniques along the corridor, requiring aircraft to hold specific speeds and spacing. Pilots are required to obtain the arrival ATs on 125.9 at least 60 miles out and monitor Fisk approach on 120.7. To absorb arrival surges, Wittman Regional has converted taxiways into temporary runways, a logistical feat that significantly increases throughput. Even so, scheduled nightly closures from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. CT combined with airshow windows and temporary flight restrictions, routinely create arrival bottlenecks. Pilots should be prepared for holding patterns or diversions to satellite airports, including Fond du Lac (KFLD) and Appleton (KATW), when the field reaches saturation. The Experimental Aircraft Association has officially listed the Cirrus mass arrival as part of the coordinated flight schedule for AirVenture 2026. The event, known as Cirrus to AirVenture (C2A), is set for Sunday, July 19, 2026, at 10 a.m. local time. According to EAA, the arrival will stage from Janesville Wiz, KJVL, with a maximum of 50 aircraft planned to land within a 10-minute window. Mass arrivals are a long-standing AirVenture tradition, but the high performance of Cirrus aircraft and the density of the arrival window have drawn scrutiny from safety analysts. Aviation channel Blanco Lirio has highlighted potential risks tied to compressed arrival slots and the interaction between high-performance piston aircraft and the Fisk VFR arrival corridor. Experts stress the importance of strict NOTAM adherence and warn of task saturation for owner pilots operating in one of the world's busiest temporary flight restriction areas. To manage congestion, the FAA has issued guidance requiring arrival slot reservations for all non-scheduled IFR arrivals to Oshkosh during the event. VFR pilots are urged to thoroughly brief the current NOTAM, particularly holding procedures at Rush Lake and Green Lake, and to verify NTSB compliance before entering the Fisk arrival sequence. Standard diversion airports, including Fond du Lac, KFLD, and Madison, KMSN, remain available for pilots experiencing excessive delays. Air traffic controllers managing the Fisk arrival into Oshkosh encountered severe congestion during EAA AirVenture 2026, with a traffic backup that reportedly stretched approximately 50 miles. To restore required 2-mile spacing, controllers turned back roughly 50% of arriving aircraft, according to aviation channel Blanco Lirio. Smoke conditions compounded the saturation of the arrival corridor, hindering visibility and disrupting traffic flow. Controllers aggressively thinned the arrival stream to reestablish safe separation standards, while the FAA's Special Flight Procedures for Oshkosh 2026, a framework designed to manage the event's extreme traffic volume, remained in effect. Those procedures are scheduled to run through July 27th. Aviation analysts say the breakdown in spacing discipline necessitated the sharp reduction in throughput to prevent further compression of the arrival stream. The event's operational complexity was underscored by concurrent regional activity, including B-29 dock flight operations out of nearby Appleton. AirVenture routinely draws more than 1,000 aircraft to the Oshkosh area, making the Fisk arrival one of the busiest and most tightly managed VFR corridors in the world. That's all we have for today. You can get the latest aviation news at aviatordb.com.